Hey, everybody. I nearly just jumped straight into the title. I've never had that before, but I'm so excited about this title. I'm Suzanne Kohlberg. This is the Nope Coach podcast. Welcoming back Rebecca Van Damm, episode 315. I want to is a good enough reason. And how often, and you were just saying this before we hit record, should I do this? Should I do that? Or could I do this? Or what will people think? Or I don't know how, or other people do it this way, and how often do it's like, well, why are you doing it like that? You know, it's like that toddler energy, because I want the red cup. Or you probably don't know colors when you're a toddler. I want that one. And it's like, but sometimes somewhere along the way, we lose that, especially in business. We're conditioned to, everybody online is doing it this way, so I'm going to do it this way. And we model, but we might not have the biggest thing you and I both talk to are small businesses with a small team, sometimes solopreneurs. If we're modeling Marie Forleo, Amy Porterfield, I don't know, like Tony Robbins, whoever, I'm not saying we want to model these people, but they have teams of 50 or 100. They have content writers, they have copywriters, they have editors, they have people who, VAs, OBMs, they have people who respond to the emails. Like, if it's so funny when people send me a message or respond to my email and I write back and they're like, oh my gosh, it's you. And it's like, yeah, like, how big do you think my team is? So, I want to is a good enough reason. And sometimes we've got to fuck around and find out.
I totally agree. And I'm happy to be modeling this. Like, I mean, I think Marie Forleo, et cetera, they're great models for, being out there and bold. And I like to say, or I often say that women are held back by a lot. And a lot of it is just social pressure. And it's not just women. It's just, we'll say assigned female at birth. People who are assigned female at birth, we succumb to a lot of pressure and around checking to see if what we're doing is okay. And I really love what, Suzanne, how you're out there saying, I just like to put content out there. I don't like to edit it. I like to do as much as I can with as little. I like to work smarter, not harder. I have so many clients who ask me the should questions of, I'm seeing people post aspirational content of them on vacations or them doing, should I? And the only question we should be asking ourselves is, do you want to? Is that what you want to do? Because why did you start your business in the first place? It is so easy to get away from why we started our business in the first place. And I'm sure I said this in another episode we did, but we leave the toxic bosses only to become the toxic boss ourselves. And I think it is especially hard as women, where perfectionism is kind of drilled into us as a virtue of some way. But perfectionism is actually just a form of anxiety that holds us back. It's not actually a virtue. It's like a ball and chain.
That you've just like dropped a whole truth bomb right there. But I love this bit, and yes, you did say it before, but circling back to, we leave a toxic boss to become one ourselves, and then we can't quit. So then we have what I call the business period. Tends to happen once a month, where you kind of rage quit and you decide you're going to go and work stocking shelves at the supermarket or whatever. And then you're like, well, that's a terrible idea. And you come back around. I've got a whole episode, your business period. Go check that one out if you haven't listened to it already. But all of this to say, it's like, should I? So when you said the inspirational quotes, I like cringed, probably outwardly, but definitely inside, because I did that at the beginning of my business, because that's what everyone was doing. Come up with it, and when I did it, man, I got some engagement. Everyone likes to love, life, heart. I needed to hear this today. So amazing kind of thing. And then I think, my content's doing so good. Yeah. Is it actually, because it's not mine. Like, I'm not saying don't do it. If it brings you joy and you love it and whatever, but if you actually line item by line item, looking at your stats, and then you're like, oh my God, when I stopped doing that, my stats went through the floor. But of course they did, because they weren't resonating with my message. They're resonating with quote. And then also too, like, there's sometimes it's like, well, I'll write my message above, but I'll put the photo, but then they're not actually reading what I wrote at all. They're responding to the photo. So it's kind of like a false sense of, I don't know, It gets
Yeah,
messy.
and I think, but it's a lesson in not hanging our hat on external validation, like deciding that our messaging is good based on how many likes we're getting is not, it is important to watch metrics. It is important to see how well things are performing. But if, like you said, if you're starting out in one direction where you're just quoting people and it's working, like inspirational quotes, it's working in terms of numbers, it's not actually showing us if it's working in terms of connecting with who we want to connect with. And I think that there is, and it takes some time to get in touch with it, but there is an internal compass wherein when you post something that's what you really need to say, what you most need to say right now, and it collides with what your audience, your ideal audience, most needs to hear, you can feel it before it even drops. Before anybody comments on it, you can feel people are going to like this one because you're with yourself. You were doing what you wanted to do and you were serving who you wanted to serve. People don't realize that that's it. That's really all you have to do.
And also, sometimes people don't comment because it hits their soul or it blows them away so much, or they're just like, but they're still thinking about it and they're still resonating about it. And when they do, when the time is right and they reach out to you and they connect and they jump on your discovery call, intro call, whatever it is, they're like, you know, the post, I've had this happen more than once, you know, the post you did about the cake? And I'm like, I'm a prolific content creator. And also, which cake? But do you know what I mean? Like, that post has stayed with them. Sometimes I remember, like, there was a post I did about my son at Mother's Day stall that a lot of people like this post. I remember that one. But when it's about the cake or the horse or whatever, at the time of recording this, I sent an email this morning. My emails, unlike others, are unique content, so I don't publish this. So if you're not on my email list, I have to give you a bit of context. Haters and trolls, which is, we could do a whole other episode on, but
Sure.
what I love about an online business is you can just bless and block, or just block. Maybe you don't want to bless them. But somebody said to me on my YouTube video that I should take better care of my eyebrows, and they could recommend a dog groomer if I so liked. And I was just like, GTFO, like block. I don't need
Ew.
this. And I was talking about how in the past that would have taken me out for like months. And now I'm
Yeah.
just like, anyway, all this to say, the PS on my email was like, my eyebrows and I would like to invite you to Why Wait, which is my program. The number of responses is like, that PS won the internet, or your sense of humor, or whatever. Like, people connect, as you're saying, with your messaging, not your messaging is in, I need to get the right words, and should I say it like this, or should I say it like that? But is it coming from your heart and it means something to you, and then it will mean something to them potentially, and then you'll connect on that, other than finding the template that's going to give you the right words and the right picture and the right font size and the right color.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said something important, which is that would have taken you out for months before. But now, because you're so prolific, because you're always putting stuff out, because you've gotten used to putting yourself out there and not taking what people are saying to you personally, that doesn't happen from mindset work. I mean, maybe a little bit, but like it doesn't. It happens from doing it over and over again, feeling your feelings and doing stuff anyway. And I can't tell you how many clients, men and women, who want to work out their confidence before they actually get out the gate. And it is getting out the gate, failing in front of people, getting insulted by trolls, having people come for you. That is what builds your confidence. And people do so much work. The perfectionism of like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I follow the template, whatever it is? I believe that comes from a sense of wanting to prevent the inevitable, which is that people are rude. People are rude. And a lot of your posts won't get seen. Like you said, sometimes we'll post something really profound, you won't hear a peep. Sometimes it's because it resonated with people deeply. Sometimes it's because they didn't see it, because it didn't show up on their feed. And we have to know that only 10% of our audience sees any given thing that we post anyway, which is another conversation for another time, but it is why you should be repeating yourself over and over again. Be a broken record, as my friend Lauren Elizabeth says online, because not everyone's going to see your post at any given time. But anyway, it's that I see too many people, especially women, trying to prevent getting their feelings hurt. And
Oh,
the
yes.
only thing that's going to prevent the only thing it's not going to prevent getting your feelings hurt, but it's going to help you get over it a lot faster, is continuing to show up, even like despite the rude internet.
Yeah, but the thing is, it made me think, like, when I was early in business, I think, yeah, and I wasn't conscious of this, but I was like, if I can just make it perfect enough, then nobody will misunderstand me, misread it, hate it, like, and it's, as you said, you're putting it out there by being a prolific content creator, whichever prolific works for you. For me, is daily. For you, it might be weekly or fortnightly, once every 2 weeks. Some countries don't understand it when I say fortnight. They think it's a game. It also is a game, but that's not what I meant. But all that to say, it's going to happen. Your ego is going to get bumped and bruised and sometimes smashed. Sometimes some of the comments will come from people who you least expect it. Like, this was some weird troll hater dude. It was easy to block. Sometimes it's family or friends who, for whatever reason, don't understand you or think that what you've posted is about them.
Right.
Because I post something daily, I've had more often than not somebody send me a voice note, email, message, whatever. That podcast was about me, wasn't it? What? Hey, which podcast? I make one every day. So, like, there's so many layers to this. I put it out because I want to, which is the title of this episode.
Yes.
And then there's no amount of perfectionism, making it pretty, waiting a certain period of time, disidentifying it with this and that's going to stop this from happening. The number of times where somebody, I'm nothing, I'm blunt and I'm honest. So a couple of times people have said, hey, was this about me? Yeah, it was, but it wasn't meant. It wasn't meant in the way that you've received it. And we can have a really deep, honest conversation. Or this is my take on it and your take's different. And like, we're all the own leading lady, leading gentleman, leading person in our own lives, and how someone else sees it is based on their lives. Like, all this to say, when you put stuff out, people are going to have opinions. Yeah. And sometimes their opinions are going to be different to your opinions. And sometimes you'll learn something. Like, I love how you said only 10% of your audience is going to see it. And even if they see it, it doesn't mean they read it properly. Tonight, at the time recording this day, tonight I'm going to this co-working thing. And it was with a friend, and I sent her a message. I said, I can come, but I might need to leave early. Like, is that going to be disruptive? Because I just won't come. But anyway, all I had to say, she's like, yeah, it's fine. It says that in the email. So I fucking read the email. I didn't notice it said that. And I read the thing. So we all have our own stuff going on. Right. And the less we can get identified with what other people think about us, and even if it was, like, I never record a podcast as like a revenge. Right. Kind of weird shit.
Well, you're not passive aggressive, you're direct. Yeah, I had so Gary V, he's like a famous business guru. He just posted, I think yesterday, there is no right and wrong. There's only right for you and wrong for you. And I think we need to think about that more in our businesses, not just in our content, but across the board. What are you doing in your business that you don't want to be doing, that you think you have to? Based on
we could do a whole other episode in future. Let's pencil that in.
Yeah, totally. But it's like, oh, well, I think I have to work 9 to 5, and I think that I can't take a break to fold my laundry or take a nap or whatever, because I'm coming from wherever I'm coming from, a corporate or nonprofit background, or, whatever. I'm coming from wherever it is I'm coming from, and I'm bringing those beliefs and rules into this business. But your small business is the wild, wild west, and you could do whatever the F you want. And it takes a long time to learn that. So it doesn't just apply to our content. It applies to how we're living our day-to-day in our lives and in our business. Some people work better at night and they think they've got to get up in the morning and work. There you go. Like, some people they need to live their day, and then at night, okay, I'm going to have a glass of wine and work on my business. Whatever it is, you can do whatever you want because it's yours.
And you only get to find that out by trying, and it can change. Like, sometimes people are like, oh, I want to do this with you. I'm like, that's like 16 Suses ago. I don't do that anymore. Like, this is what I do right now. And the way I run my business is very different. I get up quite early, and then I work till like the middle of the day. So you and I are recording. Once we stop here, I'll go have lunch. Then I'll do my laundry. So it's like, are you in my head again? Then I'll have a nap. Then I'll pick my kids up from school and do the homework and the mum thing and the dinner thing and whatever. Then once the kids are in bed, I'll work again. So like I work split. And it actually, a lot of my audience is US or UK based. I actually have a very little Australian audience, even though I'm in Australia. But
Yes.
it makes sense because that's when I work. The advantage of online business, if you want to, like I remember, Fred Fogarty.
Yeah.
Shout out to Fred if you're listening. He is like, I want to help people with sleep. And I'm like, dude, you live in the UK. You could help Australians who have like, because, if you do, he's a hypnotherapist. I've done a few episodes with him. Go check them out if you're listening. But it's like, you can work when you work online. And then the other example, I don't know if it was this episode or a previous one, when you said, if you have a local business like massage or acupuncture or like an in-person service, you might not need a massive online presence. You could maybe go around to the supermarkets and hang on their little boards, because that's how I found my last massage therapist. All they had a sign on while the kids were fighting in the checkout, But all of this to say, if you want to do it and it feels good for you, let that be reason enough. But also, don't let that lock you in. Like at the time of recording this, I'm in launch for my Why Wait program. The March cohort's likely to be the last cohort for quite some time, maybe forever, because I'm done with promoting and launching for now. I'm tired. I'm gonna go back to one-to-one. It makes me more money and it's easier, and I'm honest.
Yeah.
But you get to do that, and then when people come and they invariably go, oh, I was just about to do it or whatever, that's not on you. You don't need to over deliver or over give. If they wanted the thing, they could have bought it when it was on offer.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that being a mom helps you be more stringent with your boundaries?
That is such a great question. I'm going to need to contemplate that, because the thing is, for me personally, yes, but for other people, I'd say no, because sometimes it's another way that you overgive. But like when COVID happened and we were homeschooling, oh my goodness. But all that to say, I remember talking to a biz friend who is single with no children, and I was complaining about how hard life was. And she said, but look, having children forces you to eat at regular intervals and have more of a regular schedule. She's like, it's 10 p.m. I'm still in my pajamas because I haven't got dressed today and I'm eating cereal for dinner. So, sometimes the thing that we say, oh, this takes away, forces some form of, like, I wouldn't run the business in the way that I did if I didn't have to do it around school pickup. So sometimes you could see that as a disadvantage, but it's also an advantage because it gives me some set of schedule.
Right. Yeah, totally. But I also think the way you're like, well, if they wanted to do the thing, they should have done it when it like
my mum voice. My mum voice.
You be that way with kids.
I totally am. The other night when it was dinner, it was like, I've got 4 things, because we're packing up to go on a holiday. And so we're eating everything down, as you do. And I was like, who wants what? And none of the kids turned up, even though I called them. And my husband was like, I'll have this and I'll have that. And I was like, cool, the kids get this. And they're like, oh, but I wanted that. Well, you should have come when I called.
Right.
Mum voice.
Yeah, totally. Because we can't keep putting our energy out there over and over and over again. And this is true for our business too. If you want to say something once, you can do that. You can say, I'm sending this one email out. Come and get it. If you don't see the email, not my problem. You can
I've done that before. And you can also you can really hold that boundary. Like, I know a lot of people, you just use a new email address or you just do something else because the boundary isn't really a boundary. It's some sneaky, sleazy marketing technique.
Right.
So when you come across someone who's like, the early birds ended here, and people are like, oh, but I just thought, no, the early bird's done. Oh, well, I'll wait till next time then. And I was like, well, maybe you could. It's funny how smarmy people are going to be. And it's like, that's why I'm being upfront. There may or may not be a next time. Not as a skeezy marketing tactic to say sign up now, because like, I'm kind of over it at the moment. Love my program, don't love marketing it, which is the previous episode we just did. It was like, that's so many home truths there. It's like, if I could just deliver it, but then again, Anyway, this has been fabulous, Rebecca. What do you do? Where can people find you? What offerings do you have currently?
Well, I'm Rebecca Van Damm. I'm a content strategist. I work with purpose-driven small businesses who are overwhelmed and want to have a consistent online presence, but either hate social media or feel strapped for time. And my goal is to help people doing the most good take up the most space online. And I do that in a number of ways. I do some one-on-one coaching, but this month I'm relaunching Content Cultivation course, which is a 6-week intensive to help you learn to have a consistent online presence with systems and structures and even community. And you can find that on my website at RebeccaVanDamm.com, RebeccaVandamm.com. And if you click on offerings, you will see Content Cultivation course there.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.